Hi, bottoms. Welcome back. Episode 3 today, or 4. I think it's 3. Who knows? It is far too hot for a bathrobe again, so we're going shorts. Do you all like this, or do you miss the bathrobe? I'm kind of enjoying this. Even Gideon can't cuddle with me because it's just too warm today. So we're going to be going without doggy love. Hopefully he pops back in here, though. We've got some fun things today. A few, quickie questions, some more big, deeper questions, and even some stories that we'll kind of analyze. So let's dive in, shall we? So the first question is, what's the relationship between really good kisses and your whole opening up for his dick? Is connection. When I feel really good emotional connection and attraction to someone, then I'm so much more into the kisses. I'm so much more into bottoming for him. I think the other thing that connects for me between the two is if someone's a really good kissing is kind of an essential foreplay to me. So if somebody is a really bad kisser, I'm not really going to be able to get into it very easily, which means my hole is also not going to open up. So to me, it's like if we're good at kissing, then the hole starts opening up. Also, really, really good kissing is totally subjective. I think what a lot of people enjoy in kissing is when you can match somebody's rhythm or tempo or depth. If one person's trying to deep throat with their tongue and the other's just surface kisses, bleh. And I'm a tongue, I'm a down your throat. I want it passionate, I want to be devouring each other. That's what's hot to me. And I did have one time where a guy he was like a woodpecker. He was just, and I wish that I had the courage then to say, hold on, slow down. Let's let one kiss last several seconds. Let's make it slower, not 50 kisses a second. That was just a real turnoff, and I'm pretty sure my hole did not want to open up for him, if I remember correctly. I think I actually I fell asleep. I can't remember if we actually played at all. I do remember I was so not into him, but I was also very tired, and I was like, let's just lay down and cuddle, and I full on fell asleep for 20 minutes. So yikes. That was old Alex. That's 10, 11 years ago that happened. Woo. All right. What are the important things to consider if your top really wants to fuck you senseless in the dressing room at a store? So what are the things to consider if you're having sex in a dressing room? First of all, knowing whether or not that is legal or not in your space, I think is a really good place to start. If it's illegal, then you may have to decide for yourself what your risk tolerance is around that. I love cruising. I think it's really hot, but you do have to be aware, are there cameras there? Are there security around? Are there also people that are not involved in the kink that are potentially going to walk in on you? If there are, it's extremely disrespectful to push your kink onto somebody else. I love voyeurism, I love exhibitionism, but only when it's consensual, when it's in a space where that's the intent. And so if you are hooking up in a bathroom stall or a changing room or something like that, just make sure that there's little to no chance that you're going to get caught by somebody, or that somebody's going to walk in on you unintentionally and see something that they didn't sign up for. Or if you hear somebody walking by, whatever, that you immediately stop, you put everything away, everything's covered up. I actually did a whole video in my Kink Curious series about signs and signals for cruising. So if you want to know more about that, check out Kink Curious. That way you know what signals people use to let others know that they are interested in cruising.
Until he shoots his in my face.
Oh, perfect. Let's get kinky. If they signal that they are into it, then one-on-one experience turns into a threesome, and that can be hot for everyone. All right, when you're bottoming for the first time and you're nervous, what actually helps? Great question. First of all, connection with the other person. Connection, safety helps a lot. If you feel like you are safe with the other person, if your nervous system, not just consciously, but subconsciously, if your nervous system feels relaxed and safe around someone, it's going to make your butthole a lot more relaxed. There are some muscles in our butt that we do have control over. That's the outer sphincter, your butthole. You can make it pucker if you want. You can push it out if you want. And you do have influence somewhat over what's happening deeper inside you. Like when you need to go to the bathroom, you can push out a turd, but the muscles up within your rectum area are largely subconsciously controlled. Just like your heartbeat is not up to your conscious brain, whether or not it beats or not. Those muscles also are not necessarily up to you, whether they contract or expand. So for those muscles, what really helps is feeling of safety and connection with the person. Vibration really helps. Vibration overwhelms the nervous system. It doesn't know what to do. It's a lot of stimulation. And then the nervous system says, I don't fucking know what to do. Screw this. And it relaxes. Massage helps a lot. So if you have someone like massaging your butthole or massaging inside, that'll help. There's the Dr. Carlton's clock method.
Hi guys, it's Dr. Carlton. Need some help opening your back door? My world famous butt clock technique is a total game changer. Think of the anal sphincter as a circle of muscle. It can open up and relax with lateral pressure. If you gently insert your finger in and hold over at the 9 o'clock position for about 15 seconds and release, and then repeat at the 3 o'clock position, and then down at 6 o'clock and up at 12 o'clock, repeating around the circle as needed, it can really relax things and help you enjoy. The more you know.
It will almost kind of like suck your finger in. It'll welcome, at the minimum, it'll welcome the finger in. And having a partner do that too will really help make it a lot easier, because your nervous system is also kind of testing to see whether that person feels safe or not. If you have them work slowly on a massage or something first, that's going to tell your subconscious brain that things are safe and they're welcome to come in, versus if they try to go right for pound town, your subconscious is more likely to be defensive, even if your conscious brain is like, this is so hot, I'm so into it. So what else helps? I think the last thing is just building trust in yourself. Building trust takes repetition. It takes you having the courage to speak up if you're uncomfortable with something, to leave if you're uncomfortable with something, to ask for an adjustment if something's uncomfortable or painful. And that, again, comes with practice and repetition. So the first few times, it's going to be really, really scary, but you get better at it each time that you say, hey, can we try a different position? Or, hey, I don't really like that. I would prefer if you do this instead. Or, hey, would you do this to my body? I really like when somebody does this. So those can be saying no. They can also be asking for something. If you're worried about a power dynamic issue with your top, what would be helpful to think about? That's a great question. So power dynamics, when negotiated, are really hot and really fun. Power dynamics that are not a fantasy, but they're actually like a reality of an unfair balance, are not so hot. Age and experience comes into this. So if one person is very experienced with sex and the other person has maybe had sex once or twice in their life, there's automatically a really big power differential that's not a fantasy, it's a reality. And in that case, look for a top, like if you're that person with low experience, look for a top who is able to communicate really well, shows you that they have your best interest in mind by asking you questions and trying things without forcing their way on you. We want somebody that's curious and looking to please you, not somebody that's looking to just have their way with you. If you want somebody to have their way with you, then that needs to be more of the fantasy than an actual reality. If they genuinely do not care about your pleasure at all, and if they're doing things that are hurting you or without your permission, then we are either edging into or fully in. If you are the person with a lot of experience and you're working or playing with somebody who is less experienced, then please take the time to get to know what they're interested in, what they're nervous about, and be a guide for them. Titrate like how is this? Would you like an adjustment? Do you want more of this? Do you want less of this? How is this? Do you have any ideas for what you would want next? It's taking little baby steps in the process of sex rather than rushing right into something. Love this one. What actually is the best lubricant? Great question. When it works right, I love spit. That's super fun, but it also typically only works with an average or small dick and a very willing and happy butthole. If there's any kind of tightness in the anus, it's going to be a lot more difficult to use spit. Also, spit is just going to naturally have a lot more friction. So you're more likely to be sore after it. This is when I love using products like Dr. Tush's After Butt Play, because it helps with the irritation, the hot irritated skin, or if you're getting micro tears, whether that's the butthole or the penis involved. The right lubricant is going to be whatever feels good to your body. Ultimately, you are going to have to experiment and try some different things, but I can tell you in general what the difference is between different types of lube formulations. Sip of water. Okay, the first one is most basic, water-based lubricants. These vary in thickness a lot. Thicker lubes are going to provide a little bit more of a cushion and a more sustainable slip, usually. Some of them, though, get sticky very quickly, and I hate a sticky lube. Stickiness is going to bring back friction, and then you're going to have to apply more lube, and you're going to find that you're applying lube very frequently or spitting on it or, dribbling some water on it to keep it hydrated. That's a pain in the ass. So water-based lubes are not usually what I use unless I'm using toys that I haven't tested another lube on. Water-based is always going to be compatible with toys, whereas the ones I'm going to talk about in a second are sometimes compatible and sometimes incompatible with toys. Hybrid lube, actually no, let's talk about silicone first, then we'll talk about the hybrid. So we've got water-based, then we've got silicone lube. Silicone lube is really nice because it lasts so much longer. You usually only have to apply it 1 to 3 times during the entire sexual experience, whereas water-based, you might find yourself applying it a dozen times during sex. Excuse me. Silicone lubes also, besides lasting longer, the slip is more consistent and yet it doesn't get sticky like a lot of water-based lubes get. Silicone lube does not have a lot of cushion though. So if you are playing with a really big toy, it's usually more comfortable to have a cushioned lube than just a silicone, just because it's like having slime on something versus something being slippery. If something's slippery, that's like silicone lube. If you've got something covered in slime, that's more like a very thick water-based lube. We've also got hybrid lubes, and hybrid lubes usually take care of the downsides of each of silicone and water-based. So while water-based tends to get sticky, hybrid lube tends to not get sticky, and it tends to last longer, almost as long as silicone usually. Chemicals in it that make it water soluble as well, because they're binding silicone and water-based. So it washes out of things much easier like a water-based lube, and so it's so much less likely to stain things. Hybrid lubes are also usually compatible or more likely to be compatible with toys than solid silicone lubricants. But with all lubricants, the best idea when you're playing with toys is to test it on a non-insertable part of the toy. So if it's a dildo, for example, use a little bit of the lube on the suction cup or on the balls, something that's not going to be inserted into your body. Leave it overnight, and then in the morning, if you can wipe it off or wash it off with a little bit of soap, then you're good to go. If it remains sticky or slimy or the toy is seeming to dissolve at all, then we know it's incompatible. And that's just because if it's a silicone toy that has chemical structures that are too close to the silicone in the lubricant, then they chemically bind and melt. Versus if it's compatible, it'll wash off because the lube has not chemically bound with the material the toy is made out of. Always a good idea to test lubes on toys before actually using it in your body. What else? The last thing that I didn't talk about is the really thick water-based lubes that, if you're using really big toys or if you're doing something like fisting, are really good. These are powdered lubes, and powdered lubes like X Lube, for example, they come in a powdered form. You mix it with water and you can customize the thickness that way. You can also customize the temperature depending on what temperature water you mix with it. They're also usually more economical, so you can use a lot more lube and not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm running through this $20 bottle of lube and it's going to be gone soon. The powder-based lubes, you can usually, for like the same cost, you can make like 2 gallons of lube versus just the 1 bottle of lube. What else do I want to say about that? Those are usually more necessary if you're usually using, again, large toys or fisting. That's not really necessary if you're just doing penis and butthole. So, all right, let's jump to a couple of these big questions. So, what is the appropriate boundary when it comes to talking about your sex life with a romantic partner, with your close friends? So I think that depends on your friend group. I tend to have friends that are very open about sex with each other. Like, we love talking about it with each other. A lot of my straight friends, always women, like, they love hearing about what I'm doing, and usually they're kind of jealous. It's very fun to talk with them about it. And typically they're like, oh my gosh, I wish my husband was more creative. It's so fun. With my gay friends, it's just kind of part of what we talk about. And we'll, ask questions. If you're really uncomfortable with it, you could wait for them to ask, but you also could say, hey, I had a really hot experience the other night. Could I tell you about it? Or would you like to hear about it? Inviting someone into the conversation gives them the opportunity to give you their consent or not. How do you know when flirting with somebody when you're in a monogamous relationship is a problem or not? That's going to be totally up to you and your partner. Having those explicit conversations are really important. When you're in a monogamous relationship, you may think that that's easier, but it's both monogamy or non-monogamy are equal in that assumed boundaries are not the same as discussed boundaries or rules or expectations around the relationship. So that's a conversation that you need to have with your partner. Hey, I was thinking about it. What is your comfort level with me flirting with guys at the bar? And, what limits should we have on it? Or approaching it from the other end, you could say something like, hey, I realize we've never discussed what our boundaries are around flirting with other people. I know for me, I'm comfortable with XYZ, and what makes me uncomfortable is when XYZ happens. You got to have those conversations. If you don't have those conversations, it is ridiculous to expect that your partner knows what your comfort zone is and that they would follow those rules if you haven't talked about them. Like, everyone grows up with a different concept of what is and is not correct for a monogamous relationship. So talk about it. Let's play a little game here. So this is spit or swallow. Swallow or spit. Considering the cute guy who is too nice for my comfort to really be considered boyfriend material, but he does make me come, should we spit, keep things just about sex, or swallow, consider letting him in a bit more in that potential boyfriend way, making room for discovery? I always like to err on the side of curiosity. I can understand he's too nice for me. I think it depends on the person, whether or not they like that nice guy personality. Some people are going to really gravitate towards that as a romantic connection. Some people, it's going to be just a sexual thing. But I love to remain curious with relationships rather than trying to put them in a box as soon as possible. I prefer to remain curious. I think that is a good policy to have rather than immediately deciding one way or another. But it's also okay once you get a certain amount of information from somebody. If you know for certain, like, this isn't going to go anywhere else, then that's okay. You don't have to constantly be like, well, I need to remain open to possibilities. It's okay. I know our brains like to have some level of certainty. So you can also make a decision. And even with decisions, you also are allowed to know that decisions can change over time, and that's okay too. Swallow or spit. Seeing someone who wants to marry someone someday and do the kid thing, but I'm kind of chill about all that and really just love that he's got great connection in town, is really fun, and has a great dick. He's 32 and I'm 26. Spit. Keep getting fucked by him and partying until it doesn't feel right. Swallow, be honest about where I'm at and risk hurting his feelings. I always err on the side of being honest. Do I do that easily and naturally? No. But I do have the intention to be as honest with somebody as I can be. I know that's scary, but when you aren't honest, you have things floating in the back of your head that you're afraid to tell them. It's always going to cause a separation, an emotional disconnect between you and the other person. Even if the other person's not aware of it, you are going to be withholding something. I always like to challenge myself to have those uncomfortable or scary conversations with someone because it will get rid of this barrier that we have because I've been hiding something. It gives us the opportunity to actually have really nice, deep connection that is truthful and honest, or for us to move on. It's going to be okay. There was a time before him. There will be a time after him. As one of my friends told me years ago, every relationship ends. Either you grow apart or somebody dies. Every relationship ends. And the sooner that you're able to get comfortable with that, the less stressed you're going to be about interacting with people and being honest with them about what you want, need, or what you see with them. All right, let's go to one final story and we'll wrap it up. So I'm seeing this guy and he's way out of my league. He's tall in that way all other bottoms notice. He's also a rich gay. So there are these Provincetown trip pics where he's flanked by other rich gays in Speedos. This all makes me feel excited, sure, but intimidated too. He mentioned how funny I was when we met at this bar by my place, and I sort of feel like the only reason he'd be with someone who looks like me is because I can banter a bit. He asked me to hang out with him at the bar again this weekend, but I was sort of thinking maybe a one-on-one date-ish thing would be, one-on-one date-ish thing would have been the speed. But here's the thing, we have barely hung out, so it feels too early to let him know that I was really hoping for that. It's been 2 group hangs at bars, and one of those was happenstance. He does seem interested, because there were hotter guys for him that night. I'm torn between just sleeping with him immediately, because OMG, he is everything, and playing it cool. Feels like both options could push him away in the long term. Thoughts? This is great. So basically, it sounds like you're intimidated because this guy has money, he's hot, you're feeling not hot, but also arguing with yourself because there were guys that you considered hotter that were around, but he was paying interest in you. I think we all need to be better about being, I don't know what the word is. Let me just think through this out loud. I get so fed up with the fact that we have these beauty standards in society that are kind of a social ranking system, but not necessarily actually true if we were to survey people about who they're into or not into. And we all seem to trust these social norms more than we trust people's words or actions. So if this guy is showing you through his actions that he's interested in you, believe him. Why the hell are you arguing with that in your head out of fear? I mean, I know the answer. You're arguing with yourself out of fear of rejection or him leaving, but stop it. Stop it. If he's expressing interest in you, he's interested in you. And what is playing it cool going to do other than just dragging it out a lot? You're totally welcome to express, I'm interested in a little more. What do you think about that? If that scares someone away, then good riddance. They are not mature enough to have an actual conversation or be in touch with their feelings or even hear your feelings. Bye-bye. They were not a good match for you. And I know that's hard to hear, especially when you're interested in someone, but you don't have to put pressure on them. You can literally just look them in the eye and say, I've been feeling like I'd like to get to know you more one-on-one, or I've been feeling like I'd love to have sex with you. What do you think about that? Leave it, ask that open-ended question where you get to hear their thoughts and find out what you could do together. He might also be waiting for you to ask that same thing. Maybe he feels a pressure to take things really slowly with you. Otherwise, you might run away. He could be having these exact same fears as you, but we don't know until we speak up. And speaking up is always the best policy. Even though it's uncomfortable and scary, you can do it. And the more that you practice it, the less scary it's going to be. All right. A last minute thing from Colin. Let's check this out. And then we'll wrap up for real. All right. This is from Ask Gay Bros, the subreddit. Ask Gay Bros. Okay. Why does it feel like everyone's a bottom? I already want to react. I'm going to read the whole thing and then react. Okay. Why does it feel like everyone's a bottom? Is it just me, or does it always seem like there's way more bottoms than tops? Like almost every gay guy you meet is a bottom, or at least that's the vibe, lol. Felt like a fact at this point. But then I saw some stats from a dating app and it was actually kind of balanced. Tops 29%, bottoms 33%. So now I'm confused, LMAO. Why does it feel so different from what the numbers say? Do bottoms just talk more? Are tops low-key hiding? Are people just saying they're first when they're not? Genuinely curious what y'all think. Great question. And I wish I had the stats for you off the top of my head, but it is a fact that there are more people that identify as bottoms in the gay community than people that identify as tops in the community. So it's not just your imagination. There have been actual real, not just a dating app coming out with stats, which could or could not be real. There are actual surveys and studies that do show that there is a larger percentage of people. It's not huge, but there is a larger percentage of people that identify as bottoms over tops. Why do they seem more common? I'm not really sure. I would just be guessing, and I'd rather not speculate. Like, we could actually just look at the facts and understand. But what this person suggested in the post is probably potentially part of it, that bottoms may speak up more or may be more outgoing about asking for what they want over tops. I don't know. But I do think that it's really silly that we have this societal standard that tops are they're higher ranking socially than bottoms, when in fact the numbers show that more people are bottoms than tops. And this is just because femininity is always, in our society, is always at the bottom. Femininity is ranked lower than masculinity. And being the inserting partner or being the dominant partner is seen as more masculine, whereas being the receptive partner or the more submissive partner is seen as more feminine. And it's an unfortunate reality that we live in, that that's the way that our society sees things and talks about things. I really wish we lived in a time when femininity was celebrated as equal with masculinity rather than a hierarchy. So that's my take on that. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that you have a fabulous week. I'll see you on the next episode. Happy bottoming.